Right? And that's what I do, is I take the shit of humanity and I turn it into gold. And that's why I've been able to create such a lush, abundant, amazing paradise where we feed 40,000 free meals a year. We save hundreds of thousands of pounds of trash from the landfill. We take in, single mothers who are, in abusive relationships or neglectful relationships. We take in homeless people that have never had a home in their life. We do all of that without any government funding, right? Without any rich private benefactors. We do that living on $1 a day, right? And that's real. That's actually happening. Why are we able to do that? Because we're tapping into a whole new level, a whole new potential of success, of productivity.
Well, it's just a different mindset. It's a different way to approach life.
Exactly. That's all it is.
I mean, like I said, it's like having a box of seeds on a shelf, and that's what everybody's wanting to compare their boxes to everybody else's boxes. Instead of, let's take the seeds and put it in the ground and see what actually happens. Because while they're in the boxes, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks about your box. It doesn't
well,
matter.
I mean, if you care about what other people think, then it does matter.
Right.
And
but you will not even come close to what your potential is.
Of course. You'll never come close to your potential if you're always subjecting your potential to other people's perspective or judgment. But at the same time, if you do that, it does influence you. So it means something and it doesn't mean something at the same time. And that's the paradox. And the real truth is that the more conscious you become, the more you'll realize that everything is a paradox. It's a paradox. And are we living in duality where this is right and this is wrong? Abortion is wrong or abortion is right. Guns are wrong or guns are right. Blah, 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 blah. That's a duality perspective where this is right or this is wrong. But the truth is that guns don't have wings, and they're not flying around pointing themselves at people and shooting people.
Exactly.
It's humans that are doing that. Guns are nothing. They are inanimate objects. They're no more than a brick. You can use a brick and pick it up and kill somebody with it. It's no more dangerous than a freaking brick is. What is it being used for? The state of consciousness, the perspective of which you're coming from, that's what dictates the result. Right. So we could talk forever about the infinite, paradoxes of life and existence itself. So what's more important here is that we've got Eden Metamorphosis coming up, which is truly going to be one of the most extraordinary, one-of-a-kind events you've ever seen in your entire life. It's going to be taking place here in the Garden of Eden. More information at www.intothegardenofeden.com. And you guys are going to be sharing your superpower, your gift, with all of us here. And that is, your gift of sound, but it really comes down to consciousness, right? And so what is your intention? What is your perspective? How do you because I've seen how you enter this sort of like heroic state, this trance state, this superpowered state. What is your mental process that's going on when you're entering that space and allowing yourself to express so vulnerably and so completely?
Surrender.
Surrender, yeah. Surrender to everything.
Yeah, we don't plan anything. We don't even make a set list. We don't rehearse. We probably should though. But yeah, it keeps us in the unknown, which is where the magic happens. As long as we're in the known, it's like you're limited to the mind, and there's so much more beyond that. And yeah, surrender. and it's like this instant process. Never know what we're going to talk about. We never know what songs are going to come out. We have a general idea of where we're going to start and what energies we're going to begin with and where we're going to end.
And you do have certain rhythms to various pieces. I mean, you've got names, like you have CDs with names of songs.
But it could be, it could be a spontaneous song, or we just draw from a collection of songs that originally were spontaneous at one point.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, whatever the madness is to your greatness, I can attest that every single time. Whether it's a small little private thing or whether it's a big thing on stage at a conference or, a festival or whatever, every single time I've ever seen you guys hold the space. And so it's a paradox again, because you're holding space, but you're also surrendering. And that, you're actually holding the space by surrendering of holding the space, right? I mean, that's right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's you know, I don't know that there are words that can really fully describe the experience.
You know, it's
I'm
just
trying
like making
to,
an
yeah.
offering. Really, is the way it all started. It's like making it an offering. Whatever comes forth is just our offering to
Well, 'cause
the whole.
And also,
But how did you get to such a place in your life where you were able to surrender so deeply and be so vulnerable? Because I mean, it's vulnerability, right?
yes.
True.
Right? So, I mean, you have to be at a certain place in yourself to be so vulnerable. I mean, like, I can tell you for a fact, when I was 16 years old, I was so terrified of public speaking that I literally failed speech class because I refused to give a speech because it was the most terrifying thing that I could possibly imagine. And I had to retake speech class again. And I failed the first time, even though I had a passing grade, because she failed me because I never gave a speech, even though I had a passing grade because it was speech class. I had to retake it the next year, and it got to the end of the year. I still had a passing grade because I got 100 on everything, and she told me, I'm going to fail you again if you don't give a speech. And so I attempted to give a speech, which is the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life still. And I got up to the podium, and I literally, I couldn't even see. Like, all I could see was like spots, like little like spots of light, darkness and spots of light, because I was so overwhelmed and terrified, and I literally passed out on the podium because I was so overwhelmed with terror.
Wow.
Right? And now here I am today, right? A completely different paradigm, a completely different experience. I overcame that with consciousness. So obviously I know you did that as well, but you know, how did you get to a place where you could be so vulnerable and hold such space?
I was very much like you. Like, in fact, the first time that Randall wanted me to, he heard me sing a song, and he's like, I want you to share this at our meeting. And I ended up running out of the room crying.
And that was how long ago?
20
In Earth years.
20-ish, 22 maybe.
22 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you've come a long way.
Yeah,
22
and
years,
even
yeah.
singing, it really once we moved into the Sanskrit, that is what really shifted, because Sanskrit, we can't go into this right now, but it is the blueprint of all.
It's like the original language or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not just that. It is the vibratory essence of all life, so in its perfected form. So when we chant it, we're drawing ourselves closer to the perfected form of ourselves, our environment, our relationships, everything around us. So as we began chanting that, I just pretended it was like
So it's sort
my
of like
practice.
magic. You're almost like like you're almost like singing spells in a way.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you're just drawing people closer to themselves,
Bringing out their true true essence.
calling
Yeah.
it out, and
But
also,
you're doing that with what you're calling Sanskrit.
Right.
So it's some kind of code.
Yes,
It's some sort of like a magical code.
it's a science of sound, vibratory
science of sound.
essence
It's
of all
been
life.
it's been around for thousands of years.
Well, it's been realized for thousands of years.
It's been around for even longer.
Well, it
Yes.
is. I mean, it is life. So, like when you chant Shanti, you're not just labeling a feeling. You're actually, the word Shanti is actually the vibratory essence of peace. So, it's much more than that, but also discipline and practice. And that's how we started. I pretended like I was just doing my practice and other people were present, and then and then you're absorbed in that, and it's no longer about you and what other people are perceiving. It's just about your practice and commitment to coming closer to the truth of who you are.
And that that goes back to years ago, 20-something years ago, when I first started singing. We would go, and when I would just, there would be fear and nervousness, but I would just close my eyes and sing through it,
Right, like face it.
Yeah, and then when you come out of it, you feel free, more free, a little bit more free.
A little bit more free.
each
You
time.
keep doing that.
And in a
over
way, that
and
fear
over
actually
and
makes it
over.
more fulfilling
Right.
and even more great because you overcome it, right?
Right. It builds your self-esteem and you feel better about it. And we were doing that, and then one day we said, we're going to blow their socks off this next time. So we were going to try real hard. And when we tried, it failed miserably, and everyone was like, what the heck is that?
What is that crap? You
So it was like-
egotistical, arrogant fucks.
So it was like, get out of the way.
Yeah, just get
and
out of the
let
way.
Let it be an offering.
But
Well,
but
and-
I still have that ground to, for that consciousness. To
And this is a really interesting thing for me too, because one of my specialties is observation. And one of the things I actually observe is even in like Hollywood, you know, mega superstar musicians and performers, like even though they might have all this fancy fireworks and lighting and stage stuff and background dancers, like one of the things that I sense about them is that they're willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to just like unleash, right? And like put it out there, and people feel this sort of vicarious freedom and expression through that. And that's part of what makes them a superstar, is they're able to do that, whether people like them or don't like them. And I mean, the real truth is when you become a superstar, they're always going to have haters.
Oh, yeah.
There's always going to be people that judge you. And exactly, you can't be a superstar if you're stuck or consumed in everybody liking you or everyone thinking you're great or thinking you're perfect. You'll never get there because it doesn't happen. It doesn't matter who you are. Michael Jackson, you know, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. I mean, the greatest entertainers of all time, there was always people that judged them, that ridiculed them, that talked bad about them, and they had to see that. They had to face that in public newspapers and news stations and, you know, international media. They had to face that, and instead of trying to conform or succumb to it, they just kept just like letting go and being like, well, I'm going to put myself on the line, and here I am.
Yeah, because if you conform to it, then it fizzles out.
Right. You don't have that presence and that power anymore.
Then the next, you know, you fizzle out.
Right. So you guys are going to be performing for us, sharing your super gift at the Garden of Eden, and you know you've been a part of a couple pretty epic events, and just give us a little taste, you know, because honestly most people have really never experienced something like the Garden of Eden and one of the Garden of Eden's epic events, and none of us even know how great this is going to be, but you were here for MTV and all that kind of stuff. I mean, like give us just a little sort of snippet on, you know, what that experience might be like, or what people could potentially try to fathom or conceive.
Well, for one, I think you don't really know what to expect, and that's kind of what's fun. You don't know who's going to be here. You don't know, that's what makes it exciting for me, because it's like walking into the unknown potential, and there's a surprise around every corner. I mean, there may be you may have a wrestling match.
It's very likely, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, and there's the kids find, that's what's I think is so awesome, is that kids find this place. It's like a big playground of freedom and love, so kids are welcome.
Yeah, you can hear a songbird in the trees right now.
I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah, little songbird up there singing away. You know, it's there's always, you feel very welcome, no matter who you are, no matter what background.
Right, you can be like real freedom, like not the word freedom of what we like talk about in America, like the land of the free, right? But actual real freedom where you're able to actually be yourself, and also where you never really know what's going to happen, because there's no like dictatorship on what has to happen or how it has to happen. It's always open in the moment.
Ever evolving.
Ever evolving, right? So that's really well said. So the last thing, you know, that I would have for you is, I mean, I know you guys have your, you know, sort of instruments and stuff when you do your things, but you guys want to do like a little acapella, like in the moment.
We would, except that we've blown our voices out.
I'd love to. My voice is...
Right, so you've been in the studio for
We've been in
days
the studio. We had 7 gigs in the last 3 days, and like not just a little gig, like full blown. And it was so, yesterday, talk about being in the unknown and putting yourself out there. In the middle of one of his raps, it was gone. Voice is gone. And I don't.
Right, because you still have physical bodies. You can only handle so much.
Right, and
you guys like really like.
Well, we give 100%, whether there's 5 people or whether there's 50,000. Doesn't matter. Right. But yeah, we were given a full blown, and he lost his voice, and so I had to rap.
She finished it.
Now I can't say it was very good, but you know, that's the fun of it, and I think people enjoy. I think when you put yourself out there, and this goes for anybody, you know, when you step out and put yourself out there, I think it inspires other people. It gives them, or I don't say inspires, gives them permission You know,
I mean,
to,
it
and to
inspires
go,
them.
wow,
It gives them permission,
she
but it
looks
also
stupid
inspires
up
them,
there,
too.
and if she can look stupid up there and not feel bad about it and have fun with it and be more playful.
Right, but see, the paradox is that they don't actually come to that conclusion. What they say is that she's willing to put herself on the line. She's willing to be vulnerable and not be perfect and not have it planned out and not have it practiced and still do it anyways. And so they don't actually come to the conclusion if she looks stupid. What they come to the conclusion of is that she's willing to embrace and be real with the fact that she's not a perfect being and is at peace with that and is sharing that anyways, and that's inspirational. And it not only does it give them permission, but it's actually inspiring, right? And that's what that's part of the essence of what I see you guys do every time. Maybe this was a little bit more so than normal, but I see you guys doing that same sort of consciousness type thing with everything that you do. So how many different albums do you have?
Okay, we have our first one. It's at music. All of our albums are 2-disc sets. So
Every
you get,
single one is a 2-disc
yeah,
set.
all the music albums. So you get 2 75-minute discs with
Wow.
each one. So and one disc is instrumental. So
And
we
you have like digital forms of them
oh
as
yeah,
well?
oh yeah.
Okay, good.
iTunes, Amazon, our website. We get more money if you come and buy them.
BhaktiHouseBand.com.
BhaktiHouseBand.com.
BhaktiHouseBand.com, and you spell that how?
BHA.
BHA.
Yes, BHAKTI houseband.com. Yeah. So yeah, we have 2 music albums, 2 meditation albums, and this next one's going to be a little different. It's going to have more English lyrics and a lot more of Randall's rap because that's part of his roots.
So you're getting into the rap stuff now.
Yeah, you know, just
And
embracing
is it
it more.
Sanskrit rap or is it English rap?
In this one particularly right now, it's English rap.
We have
Okay.
Sanskrit
We
rap.
have some Sanskrit rap on our earlier album.
Right, does it talk about bitches and whores?
No,
Getting crunk?
That's why he shut it out for so long.
Getting
'cause
crunk on Sanskrit, motherfuckers!
No.
It's it's all about stepping into who you are. You know, planting those seeds.
Yeah, very holistic, very holistic. It's not showmanship stuff. It's not about being cool. It's about going within.
He's just cool naturally.
Obviously.
You know.
Well, I really love you guys. I'm
Love you
super
too,
excited about Eden Metamorphosis. I'm really glad to have you here. Not only right now, but at Eden Metamorphosis. Be sure to check out their website, BhaktiHouseBand.com. And, super amazing music. And definitely go to www.intothegardenofeden.com and not only check out all the really revolutionary stuff that's going on there, but Eden Metamorphosis in June. It's going to be super, super amazing, truly extraordinary. I guarantee you've never seen anything like it. We've got all sorts of amazing people, such as these amazing people here and more.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Bless.